Hey folks, Phil Davis, Ancestry Lands, AncestryLands.com. Let's get it in. You know what it is right now. Let me talk to you guys, man. People need to wake up, man. Really wake up. When I say wake up, I'm talking about people who are walking around in this world with no freaking clue about what's going on. You know why the politicians, the people that run the world, why they're happy at this point now is because people have more access to information but have the actual least amount of being informed. People are the least informed that they've ever been, despite having more access to information. And why is that? It's because, again, what you watch when you're on social media directly feeds into the habits of what you consume. What you're watching on social media, because you don't want to take the time out to look at what's happening when people in the world are making decisions that can change and affect your life in ways that are positive and negative. You have no freaking clue about what's going on. It's time to wake up. It's time to be an adult. When you're an adult, you have to know what's going on in the world and how that affects you. I talk to my wife all the time. You know, it's crazy because I'm looking at my face right now thinking I got something in my beard. It's just, white hair. Just sign an agent. I talk to my wife all the time, and we talk about, you know how many times I get into discussions, arguments, disagreements with my wife over having money saved in the account versus the how much that money is worth when you factor in inflation. And it's not like she doesn't understand what inflation is, but she doesn't understand how that works as far as her life is concerned. And a lot of people in the world do not understand how economics affect their actual life purchasing power. And what do you hear from people? Why is things are so much expensive? Why does this cost so much? I don't know why I don't have any money. You know why that is? It's because you're not paying attention to what's going on around you. You're not paying attention to laws that are going into effect, to deals being made by corporate entities, by governments, politicians, affecting the way you access money. And the reason why is because, again, you would have to direct your life to focus in on things that you don't understand, things you have to learn. And a lot of people stop learning once they get done with school. And I'm not talking to somebody who's from a low-level family, not educated, lives in the ghetto, from the hood. I'm talking about people who have an education, people who actually are in, high degree paying jobs, people who make six figures. Some of the dumbest people I have met when it comes to having a clue about what's going on in the world. They have none. To me, and I'm not saying I'm better than people, they're just as much as a liability as a person who is in the hood, that is in the lowest parts of the economic stratosphere. Because what it all means to me is that, and I work around a lot of women, don't forget that I work in the hospital, is that they are debt liabilities, man. You got guys walking around like, oh, I want to marry this girl, she looks good, but there's nothing up here that she can make sense to help add value to your life other than giving you children. And the worst part about it is these guys are with women that they got to fight over leadership with, where they're letting them run the show. And typically, and I'm not going against women on this, but it's like you have somebody who wants power but doesn't have an understanding of what power through leadership is required. It is not a title that you get in office and you just get to have like the bank over here. You just don't get the office in the back and it says executor and that's it. You got the office. You got a job to do. And the job is non-negotiable. It's not based on how you feel. It's based on what's required for you to do to be able to be in that position. Take any C-suite job, right? Any job where you got to work at a corporate company. You have to show up to work every day or whatever time they need you to done to get whatever task needs to be done in order to help that company thrive and become successful, to be a corporate powerhouse. Same thing with being a general manager on a team or a coach. Your job is to get them to championships, and how you do it, people are looking and saying, can you lead us to the Super Bowl? Can you lead us to the NBA Finals? Can you lead us to the NBA Championship? Can you lead us through, the what is that called? The World Cup? Can you lead us to whatever the hockey, I'm not sure, I forget what the hockey cup is, but they want to know, can you lead us to the promised land of success? And those those coaches, those politicians, the leaders are judged harshly based upon their performance, and some people get fired even when they win a championship. Because the people at the top do not like the way that they interact, or the players don't get along with them, even if they've won. There have been, in the history of sports, coaches that have won Super Bowls, won championships, and still been fired the year afterwards. Kick rocks. But you got a lot of it, but those coaches that win are coaches in the know. They understand the defense. They understand their opponents. They understand the league. They understand the habits of other coaches. I'm using that as a metaphor because, again, in life, you got to understand the rules, how they change, how they're being worked around you. You got, right now, them talking about, like they did away with the penny right now. It costs, for the penny costs almost $4 to make 1 cent. It costs almost 4 cents to make 1 cent. Well, who put that through? Why do we spend 4 times as much to make something that costs, that actually the value of it is 1 cent less? That's where our tax dollars are going to. But because we have a certain level of ignorance about all things that we do and how we operate within the country, what we focus on is the sports events. What we focus is on the IG reels, the dance and TikTok. And you got kids growing up in the world without a lick of sense of knowing what's going on. No idea what's going on. You got parents that know these things and will not talk to their children to give them that understanding. Hey, these are things you got to focus on, because that's too boring. Who wants to talk about that? You're going on dates with girls and you never have one financial conversation at all, but you're talking about marriage and children. But we never talk about interest rates. We never talk about, how inflation affects our dollars. We never talk about high yield savings accounts. Like, that is not in a relationship where that is considered sexy. And a lot of times you don't want to have that conversation with people, because then it becomes uncomfortable when people now have knowledge gaps and you find out they don't know what the hell they're doing in life. And I've rarely have seen people who don't understand these things that are successful, that are not, and when I say successful, they're not laden with debt. Thousands and hundreds and thousands of dollars worth of debt. You got a lot of people around here in this world bragging about being debt slaves and don't own a damn thing. They don't own land. They don't have access to business credit. They have poor credit scores. They're just talking about, well, I own a house and I got a mortgage and that's great, but they don't even own the house, talking about they own something. They have not one deed of title that they have in a file cabinet anywhere in the house they can pull out. A deed of title is something that shows that you actually own it. Anybody can own a debt. They will do zero down to anybody with bad credit. They do it all the time. Credit cards, loans, mortgages, because again, anyone can issue debt when you don't own it, because you can put that on liens with creditors. That's why banks love selling mortgages, because again, it's debt that we can put you in. We put you on 30 years for a debt that you're going to pay us back interest, because the money we make is all profit. And people don't understand that. You got people buying homes, but yet don't even understand what an amortization schedule is, or even how it functions. They got one clue on how. You say amortization schedule, people start going, oh, the only thing they know is we want a house because we want to have kids. We want a house because we're married. We want to have kids. I got married. We want to have kids, and we want a house. They have no understanding on what the responsibility, the fiscal responsibility, will be once they enter into these things. And then you got parents at the top telling them they need to do this, but don't even fucking help them. Go figure that. Get into this responsibility, then they get screwed over, and they end up going into foreclosure, and the parents will say, well, you should have did your homework. And some parents are helping out their kids, but they still won't help them with the understanding, the knowledge of. They'll just throw money at it. Conversely, they'll just throw money at the problem like that's supposed to help their kids. So the kid has to 9 times out of 10 learn through experience, where again, the information and education should be given at a young age so they can grow with the knowledge. I'm not just talking about black people. I actually work around more Caucasian people than I do black people, and I'm seeing it in their culture. You got blacks over, oh, it's just white. It's not just white people. It's people. I live in a predominantly Indian neighborhood. When I say Indian, I'm not talking about, Chief Geronimo and them Native Americans. I'm talking about people from India. And guess what? Every day I'll see their kids late too. So being late is not a black thing. Being late is a thing. You got people that are not prepared for life because they're not prepared for the day. They're not prepared for the morning. They're not prepared to start. I had a patient last night tell me, did you regret waking up today? I said, ma'am, any day could be good, bad, right, or wrong. I still have to meet the day with the challenge. I'm meeting the day ready for the challenge. It could be the worst day. I told her, you could die today. That's still part of my day. There's no running away from my day until I close my eyes. And she was like, well, that's a good way to look at it. I said, it's the only way to look at it. You cannot run from life if you plan on living life. You can run from life if you plan on not doing life anymore. But you can't run from life if you want to be successful. You cannot run away from studying in order to know and have knowledge. There's one thing where you can go to Chat GPT and get the information, but you still got to have a knowledge in order to understand how to operate that information. You got a lot of people looking for, I can go to Chat GPT and get an answer. I can go to my phone and get the answer. How many times as a nurse do I see people who will ask me something and never ever look at their damn phone for the information? I was talking to a girl last night about Neurolink, Elon Musk's thing with Starlink and the neural network. She had no clue. She is living in the world using a phone, not understanding how, one, it operates, not understanding, two, what's coming, not understanding how it's changing things. And she is blind to see how much of a victim she is in the world. Lost. You got people walking around thinking that their income is all that matters. Just because I got a good job, that's it. But again, you have no protection against what's coming. You got no protection against inflation. You got no protection when your dollar is not worth things. You might like pennies, but somebody else said, we don't want pennies anymore, and they've decided. Next may become the nickel. Next may be the quarter. They may tell you that you have to get Neurolink in order for the next pandemic that we have planned. Now you got to get the Neurolink to have access to a financial system. I ain't getting it. I'm not getting this. I'm like, well, what happens when they institute AI and then they take away the jobs? You have technologies coming out that are directly in conflict with you existing as a human being. And you got people who don't even know it. She's like, well, is it like Terminator? I'm like, Terminator? Terminator ain't there to take your job at Walmart. Terminator's not here to take away your ability to have a better work ethic. And I'm telling you, a lot of people are lazy. You'll be surprised at the hospital how much people are actually not doing their work, and it doesn't matter whether it's day or night. And I'm just saying that's in the hospital. There are other places where it's just as bad. People sitting around on their phones, scrolling through their phones endlessly, looking for entertainment, and yet are not entertained. Go out anywhere. I want you to do a little experiment for me. Go out anywhere and just stop and look up for 1 second when you're looking at your phone. And look up and look around you, and do you not see people all on their phones? And you'll look around, it's like everyone is possessed by these phones, and they barely can see what's going on around them. They barely are aware with what's happening right in front of them. A bus could come with $1 million saying take me, and they wouldn't notice it because they're stuck on their phones. And what they are consuming, what we found out even with TikTok and all these other social media platforms, is designed to keep Americans dumb so you can still stay in your consumption modality. So you do not know what's going on. And again, when you consume, you can't own. When you produce, you can own. When you own, you can produce. Yeah, they're making it harder even for me to be able to. I qualify for owning a home, but I don't own a home yet because, again, I understand, and that's sort of the things I keep talking about. It took a while for me to save up in order to budget to be able to get the down payment that I need for a home. Now I'm saying, well, I don't have enough for the home I want. I can get a home, but that doesn't get me the home where I need the space. So now I have to think about a strategy on how to get the home that I want with the space that I need. But that requires planning. That requires decision making. That means that when I'm home, at some point, I actually got to do extra work, such as looking on Zillow, looking on Redfin, looking on other home sites, and then doing Google searches on what mortgages are. learning the information. Then I go into ChatGPT and say, hey, what's the strategy based on this? Here's my situation. Give me a few scenarios. Then I've got to do learning there. Then I've got to go back there and I've got to talk to realtors. I've got to look at this. I've got to ask questions. And at some point, you got to understand you're going to have to get on the phone and start talking with people too. And that's what people are not doing. They think everything is going to be online. And no, everything is online until you get to the point where you finally got to talk to a person. Everything is not going to be done by machines, at least not now. It's not. You're going to have to learn how to interact and find out information, ask questions, and you do that by building relationships, but you also do that by showing people that you've actually studied and done some research. And again, people are entering in relationships without any knowledge on how to build throughout those relationships. You got people right now, no one is filtering questions on that. Marriage probably could be solved if people started actually equally yoking themselves with people who actually knew things in line with their goals. A woman wants, I want to be a stay-at-home wife. Okay, good. Then here is what you have to understand about the role of a stay-at-home wife. But a lot of people find out, well, I don't like it once I get into it. It's the same thing they do with college degrees. Then you decide you want to leave that and go start a new one. Well, I'm going to leave this marriage because I'm unhappy and start a new one. And then I'm going to tell my parents this story of this, and that, and then they're going to feel sorry for me. And I'm saying no one is sitting down asking questions about the relationship, the mom or the dad from either side about, hey, do you guys understand this? Do you guys understand that? This is the stuff y'all should be having conversations about because this is what's affecting marriages. It's one, finances. It's killing marriage. It's been that way since 20 years ago when I was looking at the stats. It's still finances is number one. And fidelity is number two. But again, the number one issue could be solved and taken off the charts if people started actually having financial conversations when they dated, when they vetted out partners. It would not be based on looks, which is why number two is cheating. It would be based on something more like understanding. Yeah, you look good, but what is your knowledge here? So people end up screwing themselves, both men and women, on both sides, because again, no one wants to talk about the ugly things to make something beautiful. We just want to go, look, you look good, you got money, you got a car, you got this, we got an apartment, that's fine. But afterwards, once we start filling up these liabilities like children, like a house, then things start running short. All the glamour and glitz starts coming down. All the novelty starts wearing off. And the next thing you know, we're into this long marathon of a race. It's no longer the sprint. Look at any race. Everybody starts off fast. Everybody loves it. But then, like, after a while, after you do a lap of running the track, one lap, two lap, people start kind of getting bored, right? Then people start taking out their phones and everybody starts paying attention when the finish comes or if someone gets hurt or if something happens on the track. People start doing that with their own lives and their livelihood, realizing you're losing time, you're losing energy, and you're losing the possibility for success. You say, well, Phil, what does this all mean in the end? What does it mean? It's time to wake up. It's time to start bringing to the table when you have a relationship. You start bringing the fact that you have understanding on how things work in life, and you can ask questions to see what another person knows. And then the next thing you got to ask is, can we start to build together? Can I look to you to research interest rates when we want a home? If you're the person that's in a relationship and you're the only one that understands about interest rates, about mortgage payments, about amortization schedule, and the person next to you is only interested in how many bedrooms there are, how many square feet there are, you probably should not buy that house and let that relationship die where it stands. You probably should hold still, hold the line, and say, okay, we don't need to go any further until you show me that you can actually understand what's going on when we sign this paperwork, so it is not just my responsibility. Now, if a lot of people started doing that, because I'm not going to say men, because they're actually more single women that own homes than men. If women would start looking at a man and demanding that, then you would know you have somebody who's responsible enough to understand what they're getting themselves involved into. Conversely, same thing with men. You would understand that you're with someone that has an understanding of that, hey, I'm not going to be a person that just benefits from this. I'm going to be a person that's also responsible for this. Because again, I took the time, sweat equity to learn what I need to learn and understood what it took to get us a better deal. Or to make a decision based off, hey, with all the upgrades and upkeep and all this stuff, with all we got to fix a roof, put in a water heater, I don't know if the numbers look right. Yeah, we could buy this house for this, but we got to place a water heater. This looks outdated. This, and this. You know what people do? Oh, the backsplash looks nice. Oh, these countertops look nice. They don't even know what the damn countertops are. They be linoleum or marble. They wouldn't know the damn difference. They just want it to look nice. And the guy's going, hey, I can probably get more sex out of her if I can give her something else that looks nice. And then after that gets bored, I could get her a car. And after that, we can go on vacations. And after that, we can do. And again, nothing is being built. Everything is being purchased and spent. And one day when you're out of money, you don't have enough, you can't afford what you did, the luxuries once tasted become necessities. Once you reach that point, then all of a sudden what you have is something that you can no longer keep up with. And now all of a sudden your time runs out. Now the sand switches and it starts to fall down. Your time runs out until she can get a better deal. Happens all the time. So the point of this is, one, you got to wake up. Two, you got to start doing your homework and research. And that needs to be part of your daily life. You need to be able to do that to give yourself an education. No one said you got to go study for chapter 12 like you did in college. You got to take a college exam, or this is a chapter test. You just consume a little bit of information at a time so you have a basic understanding that, hey, I know I'm saving money in my regular savings account in my bank, but I actually can make more interest moving a high yield savings account. Or I could actually purchase an IUL from Philip because, A, he's licensed in different states. I can look at that for my kids. I can set my kids up with IULs or life insurance policies. There's many things that I could do to actually get a better rate of return on what I'm investing. I could buy land from Phil. I could consult Phil for many things that he's doing with his family of 5, that he's showing, hey man, this is how you can do things to build wealth, how you can have things that are longer lasting, that can earn money. Anybody can consume, hell, the government consumes, but earning money is a special power. And it's not one that you're born with. You can learn it just like everyone else can. The last thing you got to do is you got to start vetting people. You got to put people around in your circle that understand the economics of the lifestyle that you want and the lifestyle that you're going to live. And sometimes you might have to tell that beautiful girl over there that would love to open her legs, that everything is wet, that guy with the six-pack abs, with the curly hair, with the, obliques, and he got trapezius muscles. That guy there, where he got the long pole, pause, and everything that can get you wet in there, get you wetted in a pitcher of Kool-Aid. You got to tell that guy, do you understand interest rates? No, then you need to come back when you do, or I need to move on to another person. I need to move on to somebody else. Before I open my legs, you got to be able to explain to me how you would handle a situation where we're not making enough money and the income, and interest rates are eating away, interest rates are raising up, and inflation raising up. What will we do? What would be your plan in a situation where we don't make enough and our property taxes have gone up because we own a house? What is your plan for us? Scenarios that could realistically happen. And what happens is people start understanding, I'm not prepared for the thing that I think I want. I just physically want it, or I'm pressured to want it because, again, it sounds good. It looks good at the time. And lastly, you got to choose better. When I say choose better, it means that sometimes you got to let go of something that looks good, something that looks like it glitters, and you think it's gold and it's really not. You got to start looking for people, not just partners, friends around you that have an understanding that can bring back newer knowledge and skills. I got people around me that understand IT stuff, AI stuff, like programming, prompting, all of that stuff. And I learn from them, and it makes me go back and do more research. That's the benefit of having a friend circle where people you can gain and glean knowledge from. Because when they tell you something about something they learn or know, or they present something in front of you, it makes you go do your own research. So you can bring back things to them. I got friends like Eric Kennedy, and he sends me stuff all the time. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know how to do large language models. And then with Gemini. So I'm looking at it, man, it was a little complex, and I can see he can do it. And I can have conversations. I can gain knowledge from interacting with that human component again. But again, that means you got to let go of the guys who are locked up, not doing anything and not going anywhere. And you got to teach your kids to follow in that, to put them around the people that you're with, to let them hear the conversations so they can start looking for people who are doing the same thing, going the same places. But you can't be scared to do it because you're afraid of losing out on something that looks good in the end that it's not going to be. I'm going to land my plane there, folks. By the time of this video, if you look in the link description section below, there should be a link for my free PDF. You can get a free PDF there. That's a guide to teach you about certain things involving land. If you stayed this long, please give the video a thumbs up, and it'll put you on my email list so you could join the newsletter and get tons of other freebie stuff. And also, my book, Getting Dollars from Dirt, is available on Amazon. A Beginner's Guide to Vacant Land Investing, written by yours truly, Phil Davis. Make sure you get up there. Links in the description section below. Stay tuned, folks. I hope you've been educated, enlightened, and entertained, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.